million home store at Amazonia Mall. Now for the news in detail. In a groundbreaking move, the Guyana government today signed a multi-year agreement for the sale of high-quality carbon credits to United States energy major HESS Corporation, worth a whopping US $750 million. In our lead story tonight, Vanu Manikchan reports that more than US $100 million of these earnings would be injected into the development of hinterland communities across the country.
Today, we take another step in the work that we have continuously led on forests and carbon credit. Today we are signing a historic agreement with HESS, who will buy 2.5 million credits per year. This agreement represents credit between 2016 and 2030 to a value of $750 million United States dollars.
That was President Dr. Irfan Ali announcing this historic agreement on Friday, just one day after Guyana received certification of over 33 million carbon credits by the Architect for RED Plus transaction, ART. This amount of carbon credit being sold to HESS is just 30% of the ART certified credits. It was explained that some 12.5 million of the credit being purchased by HESS is backdated from 2016 to 2020 to the tune of US $187 million and are called legacy credits. According to Vice President Dr. Bart Jagdeo, who led the negotiations for this deal, US $28 million of the earnings from the legacy credits will go towards hinterland communities, which will continue to benefit from this sale agreement.
We made a commitment that 15% of all of the proceeds from any sale of forest carbon will go to Amerindian communities. We had a discussion at the NTC. We agreed that all of the communities, forested and non-forested Amerindian communities, will benefit in an equitable manner, and they will decide on the distribution. The Amerindian communities from this deal alone with Mr. HESS will benefit from get about 112 million US dollars. That's a lot of money.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of HESS Corp, John Hess, remarked that this carbon credit sale agreement is in keeping with his company's efforts to lower carbon emissions, as well as its commitment to achieve net zero.
Many companies, many countries make pledges about net zero. We actually are showing action. The country of Guyana is showing action and steps to make 2050 net zero reality.
According to President Ali, Guyana remains steadfast in monetizing the value of its more than 18 million hectares of forest, which stores some 20 billion tons of carbon.
We are ready and willing to work with every other partner and to provide our experiences with every other partner in so doing. We are committed to playing our part in this global environment. We are committed in playing our part in climate change, in providing energy security, and we're equally committed in the social and economic transformation of our country and our people. And to do this, we are committed to the oil and gas sector, ensuring that we optimize the totality of benefit this sector can bring to fuel the transformation that is required for our country.
Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchan.
A 76-year-old woman was this morning stabbed to death by her nephew, whom she had taken care of at her Princess Street, Georgetown home since he was a child. Lawana McAllister has the details.
76-year-old Audrey Stacia Elizabeth Harris was found dead in her Princess Street, Georgetown home at about 9 hours on Friday, with her body bearing multiple stab wounds. Reports are that the alleged perpetrator is the woman's nephew, who is in his 50s and has been living in the bottom flat of her two-story home. He has since gone into hiding. When the evening news arrived on the scene, the woman's husband, Lawrence Head, said he was on his way to work when he was informed of his wife's death.
I leave 7:30 this morning after having a cup of coffee to work. I leave 7 o'clock on the dot, kiss my wife, go to work. I tell my wife stay good, and I leave and go to work. So, in the process of my job, up the East Coast, heading to Georgetown, I get a call from my friend who normally work in the Cemetery Cemetery that my wife just get somebody stab up my wife. If nobody didn't call me, I said no. So I was upset. I tell the driver to turn back the truck in the process of Georgetown, and I come here. When I come here, I see yellow ribbon tied down and a whole set of people out there along with police officers. So as I enter the premises, they tell me X, Y, and Z, so I demand my respect with them. You understand? I go upstairs, the ex look at me upstairs and so on. My wife is in a pool of blood. When I get for understand, it's our nephew, struck her some way part of her body with an optical, like a hammer.
Neighbors had told this newscast that they heard windows breaking and screams coming from the house. When they investigated, they realized something was amiss and summoned the police. The evening news was further informed that the woman was suffering from a mental illness that would cause her to have bouts of outbursts. It was also related that the nephew was also suffering from a mental illness. The husband told the media that he was informed that it was his wife who was breaking the windows.
You know the situation of his aunt. He's supposed to reach that level. It's years this going on with her. She brought him up, all of them, and she mind them, she take care of them. Regardless of what he's doing, he's supposed to let reach that distance. Even if publication, but no matter how I talk to her, she don't really, she just do things of her own, as an elderly person.
Meanwhile, police said the suspect and the victim had an argument because she wanted the suspect to remove from the house, and the suspect refused. During the argument, the suspect, who was armed with a knife, dealt the victim 2 stabs on both sides of her neck. At the time also, the victim was armed with a hammer. The victim then fell to the ground helplessly, and the suspect was seen running out from the yard and escaping in an unknown direction. The woman was later pronounced dead. Lawanda McAllister for the Evening News.
We now tell you that the woman who claimed she had organized the robbery during which her great-aunt was murdered has now confessed to being the one who had actually committed the heinous act. She made her first court appearance today and has been remanded to prison. Our Berbice correspondent Andrew Carmichael reports.
37-year-old Roshni Basdio, a mother of 3, appeared at the Weldad Magistrates Court before Magistrates Peter Yu, where she was not required to plead to the indictable charge. Basdio was unrepresented. It is alleged that Basdio killed her great-aunt, 85-year-old Samintra Shaw, called Auntie Betty on November 27th. The woman reportedly changed her story for a 3rd time, confessing to be the one who killed her aunt. An autopsy performed on the body revealed that the pensioner died as a result of a number of injuries, inclusive of multiple stab wounds, asphyxia, and a fractured skull, among others. In their initial report, the police had said that the woman had 6 stab wounds, 1 each on both sides of her temple, 3 on the forehead, and 1 on the back of her head. Auntie Betty was killed on her 85th birthday. The suspect, Basdio, spent the night, and this is what was reported in the media, spent the night at her aunt's home in Bushlot. She said that it was during that time that 2 men came into the house. One of them tied her up, she said, and this is again what was reported, that they took away a bag from her aunt containing $350,000 and other documents. She told that story to the police. However, on the interrogation, the media reported too that she gave a different story. She confessed to the murder, telling the police, first of all, that she was not tied up. It was also reported that she told the police that it was a plot with a 48-year-old neighbor of her aunt to rob her aunt. The $350,000 was supposed to be given to him, so he was going to buy a scooter with it, and she, Basdio, the now accused will get the property of her now dead aunt. She said on that night she left the door open, but at the end of the robbery, she said the neighbor threatened to kill her if she revealed what transpired, and he got away. He also left marks on her body to go along with the story that they had planned to tell investigators. Meanwhile, here at the Weldad police station, Magistrate Peter Yu transferred the matter to the Fort Wellington police station, and it will come up again on December 14th. The police said they have 10 witnesses to call, noting that the file is not complete, and they're waiting on the report of the autopsy, which was conducted yesterday. From outside of the Weldad Magistrates Court, Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
Samantha Lal Kelman of First Hill Suicide Linden Highway was last evening murdered by her husband. The Evening News understands that the woman was stabbed to death. The suspect fled the scene after committing the act, but was later arrested at the Diamond Hospital on the east bank of Demerara. Coming up, oil block auction in 2 weeks, says Jack Dio, and non-surgical clubfoot correction, free hearing aids for persons with disabilities.
Optic offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At Optic, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optic, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to their ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optic takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optic Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
Did you know that the government has funded the 2022 budget through oil revenues? Yes. Money earned from oil production offshore is being used to support projects in Guyana, including social programs like the increase of public assistance and old age pension, as well as cash grants to support the vulnerable members of society.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Vice President Dr. Barrow Jack Dio has disclosed that the much-anticipated auction of Guyana's remaining oil blocks offshore will be held in 2 weeks' time. Find out more in this report.
Speaking with reporters on the sidelines of an event on Friday, Vice President Dr. Barrow Jack Dio has indicated that the auctioning off of Guyana's oil blocks will commence in 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks, I said we'd launch the auction.
Last month, the Vice President had disclosed that government will be auctioning 14 blocks before the end of this year under new conditions which can see the country benefiting from as high as US $20 million signing bonus and the doubling of royalties and corporation taxes. He had noted too at the time that works will be done to fine-tune the terms of the auction, including the new fiscal conditions that will govern new oil contracts as well as all future production sharing agreements. On Friday, Jack Dio updated reporters on that process.
We're rewriting the entire PSA. So once that draft is available to us, we'll share it with the oil companies, with the local private sector, and then we'll work to finalize it, to get comments through a public process.
It was previously reported that the bidding round for the oil blocks would last about 5 months and will be open to both local and foreign companies who will have to meet certain minimum technical and financial qualifications. Reporting for the Evening News, Fanu Manikchan.
Some 6 months after the new $60,000 national minimum wage order took effect, several companies are still paying their workers less than the minimum wage. This is according to Labour Minister Joseph Hamilton, who said the ministry is investigating those reports. Here's a look.
Well, as far as I know, there are some reports that have come to the ministry that employers might not be paying the minimum, the national minimum wage. And I always say, journalists, stay away from this conversation about a private sector minimum wage. The minimum wage is a national minimum wage. It is not a private sector minimum wage. So they're two different things. But we have had some reports where employees, they have indicated that their employer is not yet paying the minimum wage. And we have proceeded to investigate those matters. I couldn't tell you deliberately here this afternoon where the investigation is at. Perhaps in next week anyone could come have a conversation with the Chief Labor Officer.
It was previously noted that $60,000 national minimum wage order, which took effect on July 1st, was expected to benefit only about 10% of the private sector employees, since most private sector workers are being paid above that figure. Additionally, the public sector salaries far supersede that figure. It has been explicitly stated that any employer who contravenes the provisions of the order shall be liable upon summary conviction to a fine of $50,000 for the first offense. For any second or subsequent offense, that employer would be slapped with a fine of $100,000 or with imprisonment for 1 month. We now tell you that Trinidad-based company, the Home Store Limited, on Thursday evening officially launched its first branch in Guyana at the Amazonia Mall, Providence, East Bank, Demerara. Here are the details from Bisham Mohammed.
Representing an investment of $200 million, the Trinidad-based The Home Store, located at the Amazonia Mall, Providence, East Bank, Demerara, will be officially opened to the public tomorrow. The store boasts a variety of modern home decor, kitchen utensils, gym equipment, camping supplies, painting supplies, Christmas ornaments, and much more. The store falls under the L.J. Williams Group, and its managing director, Thomas Williams, during the opening ceremony expressed his gratitude for the opportunity to bring his company to Guyana.
We survived the pandemic, which a lot of us did, some didn't, and it showed that we have a very strong brand. And after our fifth store, we decided that we can now expand regionally. So when Ronnie asked us to join him for his second phase, we couldn't say no. First tried to give him a little space downstairs of 3,000 square feet. Then he said 6,000, and then he said, nah, let me just give you the whole top floor. So he's an ultimate salesperson, I have to tell you that.
Meanwhile, the undertaking is expected to provide employment for about 12 persons, 6 of whom are already employed. Also present at the launching ceremony was the Junior Vice President of Guyana Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Kester Hudson, who noted that this investment speaks to investors' confidence in the local economy.
Fortunately, I was able to visit Trinidad on many occasions and see the quality of products that are there, and I'm happy to know that they are able to bring that sort of products into Guyana and raise the bar for such an entity. I know Ramnesh Sarwan would have thought it best to have such a store on this premises that adds quality, adds exuberance and diversification in the services that he offers.
The Amazonia Mall was first opened to the public in 2021, and the facility is currently undergoing construction for phase 2 of the shopping plaza, which will see more stores and experiences being added. Bisham Mohammed, Evening News.
In enhancing care for persons with disabilities in Guyana, the Health Ministry has introduced free hearing aids and spectacles this year, along with human resource building to correct clubfoot. Rupa Sinarang tells us more.
Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony on Friday shared that along with several programs to enhance care for persons with disabilities, the Health Ministry has made tangible strides in expanding access to services. While the ministry was initially charging for hearing aids at a cost of about $65,000, this price tag has been removed. It complements the program to deliver over 4,000 snap-on spectacles to persons in remote communities.
We were buying these things and giving them at the cost that we bought it for. But as of this year, we have removed the cost for those hearing aids. So now people can access them free of cost. And already we have distributed 500 hearing aids to people who need them. We have also started a new program to distribute spectacles. And we have cater for 4,500 spectacles to be distributed free of cost this year.
Meanwhile, medical professionals are being trained to correct clubfoot through a non-surgical procedure.
We are able to diagnose many young children with club feet. But this condition can be corrected with a non-surgical intervention. If the staff is properly trained, you can use plaster of Paris to make the correction. So we have started training this year in how to correct the non-surgical correction of club feet. And a lot of physicians from different parts of the country have undergone that training.
The ministry has also been working with stakeholders to address cases of joint replacement under another program. This will prove life-changing for persons who are immobilized or confined to a wheelchair. Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbor Bridge will be closed on Saturday, December 3rd at 1:30 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on that same day from 13:05 hours for 1.5 hours.
Bravo named Chennai Super Kings bowling coach after announcing IPL retirement and Australia in commanding position against West Indies. Details of these stories in the Sportscast sponsored by CORP coming up on the other side of the break.
It's November already and soon it will be Christmas, so we at John Lewis Styles are giving away one Amazon Echo show every week in November and every day in December. Stream music and videos, make video calls and control smart devices, alarms, reminders and lots more. Every $5,000 spent gives you a chance to win when you shop for clothing, footwear, watches, fragrances, handbags, luggage and accessories. So visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles, simply different.
This Christmas, guess what? You're guaranteed to save big right at National Hardware Limited. Shopping for Christmas trees? We've got all sizes from the traditional to the ones with a modern twist. Garlands, wreaths, lights, and Christmas inflatables are what you need to bring that Christmas cheer. Out with the old and in with the new. We've got curtains, carpets, and so much more to spruce up your home for the holidays. Save time too, and get presents for both boys and girls, whether big or small. National Hardware has you covered, in more ways than one this holiday season. Check out our superstore at 13 to 14 Industrial Site, Rumvelt. Telephone number 231-1091-95. Or downtown at 17 to 19A Water Street, telephone number 227-1961.
Factory and dockyard owners, Sylvie's now has in stock the 5000 PSI North Star Heavy Duty Pressure Washer. It delivers industrial strength cleaning power and durability, blasting through the toughest caked-on mud, dirt and debris. Great for prepping concrete surfaces, stripping paint and removing barnacles. Shop now at sylviesonline.com or visit our 31 High and Hatfield Street store. We also deliver. Call or WhatsApp 623-7755 for more info.